Hello everybody, welcome to Bear All. I'm Carol Gockel, confidence coach and change maker. Together with my co-host, Dr. Martha Thoroughly, we are bringing you a bunch of guests on this series so that they can share with us what's real, what's raw, what's going on beneath them. Allow them to share with us their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs. So they are able to inspire you with their story in order to help you to change. And first off, let me introduce you to Dr. Martha Thoroughly, my co-host. Martha, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Martha. I'm a relationship counselor and clinical sexologist. Happy to do this together with Carol. It's been so fun. And you can find me at eroscoaching.com.
Yes, and you can also find me at www.carolgockel.com. Now, today's guest is he has a very interesting profession. He is a boudoir photographer. But when the thing is, I know it's actually a gentleman. And when we think about boudoir photographer, people always think about, ladies are usually the ones taking the pictures. So why would a gentleman want to be actually in this field? Let's hear from him. Why he actually got into this profession, his journey and his struggle. Let us welcome our guest today, Mr. Kelvin Lim. Kelvin.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Martha.
Hi, Kelvin. Yes, thank you for coming on to the show. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself? Why did you get into this profession?
Where to start?
Yeah, start from the beginning lah.
I didn't start as a boudoir photographer. I was just like any other born and bred Singaporean who follows so-called the path that's laid for us. When you study, you get a certificate, you get a regular job, you get a regular income, and the idea is to retire, something like that. So after about 7 years, I became a wedding photographer because I couldn't imagine myself being in a corporate environment. So yeah, that was how my creative life started as a wedding photographer. But after about 4 years, how do I put it? I found myself stifled. Mm-hmm. Like people were coming for poses. People were coming for backdrops. People were coming to ask to be photographed in nice dresses, in nice outfits, nice makeup, nice hairdo, everything except photograph who they really are, beneath what they wear, beneath what background they're posing in front of. So there came a point where I asked myself, why am I trying to make everyone happy? Why am I trying to make everyone smile? So you see people coming in front of the camera, and they'll be like normal, like you and I right now. And when I raise the camera, suddenly they have this smile on their face. It's like a choreographed smile. It's nothing like the real smile that you see on the person, like you're talking to me right now. So there's a certain kind of fakeness to it. Yeah, and as a photographer, I find it monotonous. Like I will go to the same backdrop over and over again. People will look at this photograph and say, "Wow, that tree is so nice. Can I go to that tree?" So I go to that tree, and then I'll do the same with another couple, and I do it over and over again. Mm-hmm. So people want to be different, but end up having the same pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. So after about 4 years, I decided to explore personal portraiture. So I asked one couple whom I just photographed for pre-wedding, and I asked them, what if you come back for a second session where you just dress yourself in casual clothes, and if you're okay, I can also photograph you with just a shawl, a very soft piece of drape. So you don't even have anything distracting, because even when you're wearing casual clothes, there's some pattern, there's something that you like. So if I were to photograph you as your natural self, not in a nude, but something to cover your private parts, but just you and yourself. And they said, okay. So that was my very first, what they call boudoir shots. Yeah. It was a very different experience. You don't ask someone to go to the tree, stand there and take a photograph. You have nothing. You don't have a tree. You don't have props. You don't even have clothes to play around with. It's just you and me. And the only thing left was a conversation. Time to know a person, time to look at a person and understand how they feel, how they look like in their natural self. Yeah. So I love that experience. And from there, yeah, that was how boudoir photography started for me.
I hear what you're saying, and the things that I can totally relate to what you have just mentioned about being real and being raw. And most of the time, because in my line of work, as a confidence coach, a lot of the time people put on an outfit, they put on women in particular put on makeup. They want to present their best self, but the thing is that they're actually putting out a shell, a mask that they're facing the world. So from what you have mentioned is, you want to see people as who they are. You are able to look into them. You want to see their raw self, to be really authentic, not to be naked, but to be authentic and to be one and align with who they are truly on the inside, spiritually, mentally, and in their heart as well. So, and it's actually very, very beautiful when you mentioned about that. And I actually did a boudoir photography myself, with a friend. And that was actually to mark a particular occasion, because I've been through certain things which I mentioned in a previous interview. So I wanted to check with you, what kind of clientele do you usually get? Who are the people who will actually come to you for a boudoir photography service?
Well, when I started, I expected young people, young ladies, young couples with beautiful bodies, but it turned out that most of our clients, most of the people I photograph are already past that, I think what you call the optimal age, where the beauty starts to fade, or maybe it has already faded beyond repair, beyond recovery. So women in their late 30s, 40s, 50s. Yeah. So whatever I plan for, those poses, those what you normally see on the internet, they never work. Yeah. So the other thing is that after I did that very first session, I used that to publicize my work, but people mistaken it for nude photography. People even mistaken it for something sexualized, like even porn. People were asking whether I can shoot porn. Yeah, so that was one of the biggest challenge. I didn't really, that wasn't what I intended. I really wanted to just photograph a person behind what they're wearing. But that started, or should I say, I accepted every request that came my way, except for the porn, which was, I think that was totally out of my league. It wasn't my intention. So yeah, if you ask me typically what kind of clientele I accept, there's no typical, really. All kinds of profession, all kinds of age groups. Our oldest was past 70.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's no typical, but in general, they are more open-minded than our typical Singaporean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most of them have a certain kind of Western or overseas influence. For example, they have studied overseas. or they are married to a foreigner. Usually they are not the local Singaporean, but sometimes we do get. But there's no typical.
Okay. So how does it make you feel when you are photographing all your subjects, or rather your clients? How you're actually kind of like pulling the curtains back and peering into a part of their soul, right? How does that make you feel?
Okay, because now is when you ask the question, it's an entire collage of so many people I photograph. And everyone gives me a different kind of feeling, a different kind of emotion. So I really don't know how to start. But typically it started off just like any other regular shoot, because that was what people expected anyway. And it's always a nice place to start, because you don't start by being so personal, right? You start with just a regular photography session, do a few poses, some smiles, and so on. But as the conversation goes on, as we spend time with each other, then I hear stories, I hear a reaction, I hear how they feel when they tell their stories. So these emotions, these expressions reflect on their faces, on their body language. And it no longer becomes the staged emotions that I mentioned earlier. It becomes real. And it's just beautiful. I mean, if you can see that person being so real and so raw, and being able to capture that beauty is something that I cannot describe in words.
Yeah, and so just to add, when was it? 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, right? We met.
Yep.
So Kelvin and wife contacted me, and they said want to explore possible collaboration. I was very, very hesitant, and it's a good thing he came with his wife. I became a lot more open to him, and through the conversation we went into brainstorming, and then I expressed my desire to publish this book on vulvas, Asian vulvas, because I have a lot of clients with vaginismus. Vaginismus is a condition that happens when a person's vagina shuts down, making penetration difficult or impossible. So I have a lot of vaginismus clients, a lot of clients who don't know what is the anatomy, don't know where's their vagina, don't know how to have sex. So I really wanted to publish this book, and together with Kelvin, we embarked on this book. So it's an Asian vulva photo book. And long story short, book is published, and we are having some difficulties with censorship, whatever. But we are planning to do a part 2, which is based on the interviews that I did. We are going to do another book where we just pull the interviews and put it into this book. So instead of a photography book, we will also now do another version where we do the interviews. So Kelvin, maybe you can share with us a little bit about what made you agree to do the book, how it felt, the process, how it was different from your usual work, how it changed you as a person. Yeah, if you can share a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, when I first met Martha, she was very fierce. So now I understand why. When Martha mentioned to me about the idea of the book, I really, the first thing I really thought about were the people that I may be photographing, who will be coming forward. Will they be any different from the people that I normally photograph? So it was that actually interests me, the people, rather than what I photograph. So I think, Martha, you understand that when you see me photograph everyone in a project, I don't just photograph the vulva. I photograph their beauty. I talk to them and I photograph them as they react. So that was my approach. But of course, you needed the vulvas, right? So that wasn't, technically, that wasn't difficult. Even before I started the photography, it's really, it's quite technical. You can just point the camera at the vulva and photograph it. But what I had in mind for the book was to express a woman's beauty, not just of the vulva, but as a vulva as part of the woman's body. So the woman's curves, the curves of the pelvis. Yeah. So these are what I had in mind for the book. And I was happy when, Martha, you agreed to that idea, because it won't be just a scientific book or educational book anymore. Otherwise, I think many other people would have the technical knowledge to do it. Yeah. So yeah, it was, when the project started, it felt really different. Mainly because they weren't just women who either want to capture their beauty at a certain stage in their life or to feel confident after they have gone through a certain crisis. But women who many are sexually abused, who have gone through certain challenges in life related to being a woman, related to being, how do you put it? Certain trauma related to them being a woman. So it is a different set of stories that I hear, a different set of emotions that I feel. Yeah. I didn't really capture that in the photographs, but it was an experience that showed me a certain niche in society that I had never come across. It showed me, it brought me face to face with a totally different type of problems, a totally different type of lifestyle that normally people don't see. Yeah. Not just in terms of sexual abuse, but in terms of sexual practices, sexual lifestyles. And so I had to ask myself whether I can accept all this. Even though people look at me as a male boudoir photographer, it's like, some may have negative thoughts about it, but I am really just a normal person. And something like this, such a niche in society, is something that is new to me. And it took a while for me to be able to accept, to try to put myself in their shoes, into that niche, and ask myself, how do I feel? Do I feel repulsive? Do I feel accepting? Yeah. So these were the questions. But it did change my life. Yeah.
Great. So thank you for sharing, because I guess we didn't really talk more in detail about since the book was published, how we didn't really go back and reflect on all this. So it was a very enjoyable journey doing the book with you. Everything went very smooth. It was actually much smoother than I thought. It just, because we are professionals. And so you did the photography, I did the interviewing, we hold space for the people. And from what you're sharing, it sounds like you did a lot of reflection as well. The people who came forward to do the Asian Vulva photo book, of course, most of them were already very comfortable with their bodies. So we were able to attract several artists. And it was good because we also got to expand our network of contacts and new friends. So that was really nice. So coming back to your work in boudoir photography, of course you do other things as well. Would you like to share with people what else you do?
I do paintings, as in mostly portraiture paintings. Paintings. Yeah. So other than photography, that is what I do for a living.
Yeah. So you do oil paintings, and you also work alongside your wife. Could you share more about the synergies and how y'all work together, why y'all work together?
For boudoir photography, she is so important. I mean, she's not just in boudoir photography, in every aspect of my life, she is important. Yeah. But for boudoir photography, she being a female presence makes people feel very comfortable. Because no matter how normal I am or how normal I feel, I'm still a guy, and there's still a certain prejudice against my gender when it comes to photographing the nudes. So her not just being a female presence, but being my wife, makes people feel comfortable, makes people trust me and the environment. So yeah, cannot do without her. Although there are certain women who said, can I just photograph with you alone? And sometimes that raises question marks. So, but by and large, yeah, she's integral to the boudoir photography. When it comes to painting, well, I'll be so absorbed in my work that I will forget every other thing, like even my meals. So without her, I don't think I will remember to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And she does a lot of invisible things behind.
Yeah, so this is a real partnership. I know she she does all these little things like, you know, welcome the person, serve them a drink, chat with them, assist you, move props here and there, so you don't have to do all those things that, you know, will take out a lot of energy. And I guess she also helps with I don't know what else. Yeah, make sure that you are eating. Yes. So yeah, it's a real partnership that you two have together. It's very lovely to watch. Does working together affect your love and sex life? I'm curious. Being a sex person, of course.
It definitely makes our marriage work stronger.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's beyond just love, as the way you put it. It's just everything. Because as a person, you work and you live. So it is just it just completes my life.
Yeah, beautiful. Also, okay, so I just want to add that hasn't come up yet. One of the things that I really like about your what you have shared with me, your philosophy, is you really have this fascination of the curves, the human body form as a form of art. So could you elaborate on that so people can really start to understand your philosophy and your, I don't know, the way you approach doing boudoir nude photography?
To describe that as curves, maybe not that accurate. I was more interested. I am very interested in how the body moves, which creates the curves. Yeah, but it's a certain movement in the body. So it's not just you doing a pose and showing your curves and then you lay still there. To me, it doesn't mean anything. It's an object. It's not alive. So it is the movement of the body, not just the body, of your face and every part of your body. Yeah. So before I started painting, it was quite relatively straightforward to photograph that kind of movement. You converse with person, you make them do something, for example, and then you see a movement, and then you capture it in front of the camera. When I start painting, that was when I really appreciate the wonders. I can't even find a word to describe this. The the human body, how it works. Because in painting, you don't always have a model in front of you. So you need to draw a figure, for example. And to draw a figure, you need to understand the anatomy, what makes the figure, the bone, the muscles, yeah, what makes it move in a certain way. And then you need to construct that human structure in something visual, something beautiful, like a sculpture. I'm sorry, it's just difficult to describe because when you start to draw a figure, when you start to understand what makes us alive, the wonders, the biological wonders that happen beneath our bodies. When you start to understand what makes us work, and the challenge and the difficulty in expressing that in a visual art form, where you can look at it and say, this is so beautiful. It is beyond a woman's curves. It is beyond gender. It is an appreciation of nature. So whether it's a baby or a beautiful model or an old person, you appreciate this thing that makes us. So saying that I appreciate a woman's curves is something that cannot justify. Yeah.
True. And yeah, thank you for sharing all that. And I can see, why the word artist really fully describe you, not because you paint, but because you see things from an artistic perspective. And that's why you are a photographer. One thing I didn't share with you earlier when you first came on before we start this show was I'm actually on your mailing list. I received this email from you in September 2019. And that's where you describe how when you put up your exhibition and then people wanted to see more sex, more perverted stuff, and you got really, really angry. And then one client walked in and changed your whole perspective. Would you tell us a little bit more how that client changed you?
Was it about
this particular client who was dying?
Yeah, that was a point where before that, I was really about trying to express beauty. I guess that's what most photographers and artists will do, trying to describe something beautiful in a visual form. But when she walked into the studio with a life support machine, the husband and the family accompanying her, and they said they wanted to do a boudoir shoot. Because she may not have the chance to do it if she doesn't do it now. She may only have a few weeks left, but she don't know how long. Yeah, so you see a person not trying to dress up, doing makeup and looking beautiful, feeling beautiful. You see a person who is breathing through a mask, a life support machine. And when it's about, okay, when it's time to photograph, she will remove that mask and she tries to endure whatever that she's going through. She tries to put on a smile. She tries to put on her best face, the most beautiful figure that she can imagine, with her husband beside her. And then it makes me think, in the beginning, when I asked myself, why do I make people smile? it became such a naive thing to think about. It's really not about being fake or being real. People, if they see an image of themselves and they look at the image and they say, this is me and this is how beautiful I look, it becomes a privilege for me to be able to do something like this, to be able to show them how beautiful a person is. Whether it's fake or not, it doesn't really matter. So that changed my entire perspective, my entire reason of why I'm doing this, why I'm doing personal portraits instead of weddings. Yeah. And it made me tell myself to stop judging people. Because after that photo shoot, within the next few days, we printed out the photographs and visited her in the hospital, and she was so happy. She said, "Wow, so beautiful!" Just like any other client would react, but she's lying in the hospital bed with the life support machine. Yeah, and a few weeks later, she passed on. So there is no customer reviews, there's no customer referrals, but it was something that I cannot forget. It was something that holds me to why I'm doing this in the first place.
Wow, that was really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing so much nuggets, Kelvin. Because my takeaway from your answer to this question is, life is really very short. Right? That we don't know what's going to happen the next day, and we should live a life without regret. And you are there to help people to realize that, not to live a life of regret. And thank you for what you do.
Oh,
really.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you what you have been doing during this period of the circuit breaker. How has the coronavirus affected your work? What have you been doing?
I've been painting because the studio cannot be open. But luckily, we have a few painting clients, very challenging ones. So, but very challenging projects. I was asked to paint. One of the projects was a group of Greek singers, and I'm supposed to paint them in a casual gathering, all 6 of them together. Yeah, but the challenge is because there's no reference photograph. So I really have to study whatever pictures that I can find on the internet and then structure the faces so that they look like the real person and then paint it. So it's way beyond asking people to pose in front of the camera. It's really creating something from scratch. I think is what I described to you about my appreciation for nature. Yeah, but yeah, painting has been keeping me very busy. So I see people complaining that it's so boring, but me and Elaine, I think we couldn't even breathe.
Yeah, it's good that you've been busy because I know that during this period, a lot of artists were struggling. And yeah, so I'm glad also you were able to work from home. So are you now back in your studio?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, so when did you start doing your photo shoots again?
It'll be happening in 2 days. Yeah, our first client after the circuit breaker. So someone, a lady, I think approaching her 60s or past the 60s, doing a boudoir shoot. So yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward.
so during this period, I guess you can definitely adhere to the 1 meter distance thing. But anyway, can wear mask, right? I mean, at least even Elaine, you know, like she's near the client, she can still wear mask.
Yeah, we'll be wearing masks.
Yeah.
Maybe transparent masks.
I have started to see clients and honestly speaking, it's really not easy to wear masks, half breathing fully at lung capacity for like 1 hour or so. It's really suffocating. So I really admire those people who can do it like 12 hours straight, like the doctors and nurses, the waiter and waitresses, the people in retail. It's horrible. Even though I'm wearing those paper ones, it's not so suffocating, but still, so yeah, I applaud you trying to be creative and happy and cheerful while wearing your mask, doing your work. Is there anything you want to add or share that we have not asked?
Is there anything that you'd like to know?
No, we really appreciate your sharing and you sharing about how you got into this, about your work, about our as in yours and mine, Valva book, I think you've been very open and also it gives us a very good sense of who you are. So would you like to let people know how they can find you and more about your work?
Yeah, well, you can find me on kelvinlim.com.sg.
And you're on social media also?
Yes, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Kelvin Lim Artist.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Cheryl?
Thank you so much, Kelvin. Thank you for coming on to the show. And thank you for watching this episode of Bear All. So stay tuned for the next episode with Dr. Martha Sarali and Carol Gockel, myself. And with that, we will end. This is Bear All. Goodbye.